Allan Aguirre with your Incorruptible 2 minute warning. It is Friday. That is right. It is Friday. We wrapped up chapter 12 of First Corinthians yesterday, and I don't want to start chapter 13 today, and I won't be here on Monday. Sundance Film Festival started yesterday, and so my old life of my old entertainment industry life has uh, descended on our little mountain town, and I'm gonna go out there today and spend some time with my grandkids out there. We have a good time, cruise around. What's it called? Celebrity stalking or something? I don't know what it's called. But then on Monday morning, I won't be here as well because um, there's a new Devo film. Devo is world premiering their a movie that they made Monday morning, and I'm going to be there. And I, a lot of you probably don't know this, but I was a fan of Devo when they first came out in the '70s, and a lot of you probably don't know that Mark Mothersbaugh, the main guy of the band, the singer, they were all art students, I believe. Anyway, they're from Ohio, and where were they from again? Was it maybe Dayton or something? I don't know. I know they're from Ohio, and they made a lot of films. So when Devo first came out, they had a lot of films in their concerts that were playing. So they've been involved with film for a long time. But so anyway, they're doing a movie that's coming out, and I'll be so. They're like, what does Incorruptible 2 minute warning? What does Devo have to do with what you're supposed to be doing here, Alan? Nothing. Probably nothing. So I suggested that maybe show up with some questions and stuff. A lot of people don't watch this live, and that's fine. But somebody sent in some questions, and so these are the only questions we have, and these are the only questions I'm going to do, and then we're going to call it. Gift of administration and helps. They asked if I could maybe touch on that. 1 Corinthians 12, verse 28, and that says, God has appointed in the church first apostles, second prophets, third teachers of miracles, and gifts of healing, helping, administrating, and various kinds of tongues. Helping and administration. So I was taught that gifts of administration and helps were basically stuff like, stuff that deacons would do, things of that nature. For example, um, most people don't know this, but hospitality is a spiritual gift. It says that somewhere. I don't remember where it says that, but hospitality apparently is a spiritual gift. So helps and administration, whether it's in the spiritual realm or in the physical realm or even in the business realm, let alone church structure realm, are these are some gifts. Apparently, they're spiritual. At the end of chapter 12, it talks about some have the gifts of, and it almost sounds as if not everyone should have all the gifts. Yeah, it could sound that way if that's how you want it to sound. Let's find that. And God, see, here's what I do know: that He made some, not everyone, apostles, prophets, evangelists, teachers, and pastors. But that's different than generalized gifts, right? Because you've got leaders, you have a hierarchy, apostles and prophets. Those are the top tier. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Do all work miracles? Nope. Do all possess gifts of healing? Nope. Do all speak with tongues? Nope. Do all interpret? Nope. But earnestly desire the higher gifts. See, so yeah, you could read it as such. You could read it as such, thinking that, oh, well, not everyone's going to have healing. Not everyone's going to have tongues. Not everyone's going to interpret tongues. And that's, yeah, I have no problem with that. That's true. But then it says, but even though that might be the case, I think that's more the case on the humans. I think the reason why humans don't do these things more than anything is they don't align themselves, or they're not deep into this enough to Like, for example, I've said it before. Um, Peter's shadow could heal. Why does my shadow not heal? Um, I've been in situations where just being in the room provoked healing in someone, or just being, I said, God, just being within, what's the word in English? Why do I, it's the weirdest thing. Spanish is not like my first language in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes I remember a word in Spanish that is a really good word for what I'm thinking. Um, I said, because I was close to them, within their whatever. I can't even think of the translation of the word. But because I was like in the same room or close to them, within their proximity, I think that's the word. They were healed, and even though I wasn't praying for them or doing anything like that, just my being there caused that. That's the closest I've ever been to a shadow healing. But what but I've not raised the dead, and I've mentioned that before too. But just because I haven't raised the dead doesn't mean that's not an option. That can't happen in this earth realm today in 24. Um, so I tell myself the same thing. If if I can't raise the dead, it's probably because I haven't done the covenant, the relational work of covenant, to align myself closer to the ability to be able to um, raise the dead, because that would be one of the higher gifts, right? So, though the question is, are all or do all, in verses 29 and 30, it does say, but earnestly desire the higher gifts. I think it's on us. It's on us to go after these things. It's on us to do the relational work of covenant, to be able to heal the sick, cast out demons, speak in tongues, prophesy, interpret dreams, miracles. I really do believe that. It's not like God's going, I mean, I don't know. But at the same time, if you're not supposed to, I don't know, cast out demons, you're probably not going to cast out demons. But I think you can cast out demons if you want to cast out demons. Just got to learn how to do it. The difference between words of wisdom and words of knowledge. Words of wisdom would be, I think, so a lot of people do fake prophecy, and they go around and they give what they're calling prophetic words to people, but they're not actually prophetic words. They're just words of encouragement. They're not even words of wisdom or words of knowledge. They're just encouraging words. But because they want to be prophetic, I'm actually thinking of an actual particular person, because they represent the definition of what we're talking about so well. They want to be prophetic, but they're not. And they want to be prophetic so bad, and they've been around it long enough to see how it's done, but they can't actually do it themselves. But they do it anyway, but what they're doing isn't actually prophetic or wisdom or knowledge. They're just encouraging words. I had the same issue with the harp and bowl. Remember when, I don't know, since the majority of you weren't charismatic 10, 15 years ago or whatever, there was a thing called harp and bowl. Remember, soaking in the spirit? Well, so harp and bowl that's what they termed it. And it was basically, they would just kind of like vamp and just kind of like play. It was repetitive music, and they said it was prophetic. They called it prophetic, but it wasn't. It was kind of like fake prophetic worship music. They called it harp and bowl, in my opinion. I know a lot of people that disagree with me, but oh well. In my opinion, I saw it. I've been around it. I thought it was fake. It wasn't really prophetic. They called it harp and bowl, and to me, it's the equivalent of people saying they're prophetic and that they're giving people prophecies when they're not. They're giving them encouraging words instead. Well, words of wisdom and words of knowledge. A word of wisdom would be higher up than an encouraging word. It's gonna actually be a word of wisdom, where there's like wisdom involved with the whether it's instruction or encouragement or insight, discernment, right? But a word of knowledge, and this is just how I was taught this stuff, 40 plus years ago, and it's across the board. This is what people consider it. Well, people that would know. Whereas a word of knowledge has more of a prophetic edge to it, where I'm telling you something about yourself or about your situation. I'm telling you something that I shouldn't know. I shouldn't know this about, like, when you were 4 years old, your Aunt Betty, XYZ, right? That's a word of knowledge. I shouldn't know what happened to you when you were 4 years old. I shouldn't even know that you have an aunt, let alone named Betty, that said or did whatever, right? So a word of knowledge usually has more of a prophetic insight, or has that supernatural sense to it, versus a word of wisdom that is more of a wise thing, whereas a word of knowledge would be more or supernatural. Does that make sense? So I'm very interested in the fact that the amount of people that I know just in the last 5 years that were involved with the Way International. I'm saying that because there's a comment about the Way International. I just got off the phone with somebody that was involved with the Way International. And yeah, that's a goofy cult. Goofy thing, man. Yeah. So anyway, those are the 3 questions I had, that I was given, that I was sent. Those are your answers. And what's today? Today's Friday, right? Yes, it is. So it's the Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for last week. We had the new moon. So thank you again to everyone that sent in your first fruit offerings, your monthly offerings, and your gifts. Thank you very much. And have a great week. Have a great Sabbath. Excuse me. Have a great Sabbath. And have a good weekend.
The views and opinions expressed during our broadcasts are solely those of the broadcast producers, hosts, and/or guests, etc., and are not necessarily the views or opinions of the Travelog Network, its sponsors, or affiliates.